What if there was another way to actually live, a way that you can actually start to be in charge of your own healing, a way to get out of this survival mode and into creative mode? Well, it's my job as your host of the Healing Tree Hub to introduce you to some modalities that might actually make all the difference and to give you your power back. My name is Sarah, and I have the pleasure of meeting you every week to discuss new modalities and new topics that are really making a difference out there. So buckle up and enjoy the show. Hi, and welcome to episode number 3. Today, I'd love to talk a little bit about mindset work and a bit of inner child work. This is probably some of the most challenging content that I work with, and it's really asking something from the person when I ask them to really work through some of this shadow work. But if you truly want to progress through your spiritual journey and open yourself up a bit more consciously, this is going to be incredibly powerful work. Now, I always recommend that if you know that you're going to be dealing with some pretty traumatic memories or trauma, that you should always seek attention from a counselor or psychologist when working with energy medicine. It is just beautiful and they work so well together. But if you're interested in doing some inner child work, this episode will be a little bit different to most episodes. We're going to talk a little bit about what we're trying to achieve here, but then we're going to spend at least another 5 to 7 minutes in a meditative state. So if you are driving, this might not be the podcast you would choose to listen to today. But if you're in a quiet area, you can even listen to this while you're in the bath. That's an amazing place to do this work, or sitting in a nice quiet chair. It doesn't have to be in a Zen position. I would love to share this technique that I developed with my clients, and it's short and it's quick and it's very, very powerful. But before we go into the inner child meditation work, I'd love to just talk a little bit about mindset and how we get stuck on particular belief systems and how it affects us for the rest of our life. As children, we experience trauma. Even if you had the most incredible childhood, there would have still been something that happened as a child that made you realize that the world wasn't safe, or it wasn't as safe as you thought it was, or something wasn't right, or it was wrong. Every single child experiences this. In fact, we have an experience as a child, we have an experience as a teenager, a young adult, and so forth. And these are very important milestones in our life where we're actually developing a huge part of our personality, and the way that our belief systems are structured are usually based on these profound moments. Now, these moments could be extreme trauma, where you are injured or harassed or abused. It could possibly be something like that. But I've had clients that have literally come back to the memory of mum not picking them up from kinder and thinking that they were abandoned for an hour. So it can be something that may surprise you, and it isn't to be discounted. Everybody's experience is what it is. And as a child, we interpret things pretty differently to what we do as adults. So I'd like to talk a little bit about this, and I'd love to share my big, profound experience so that it makes it a little bit easier to understand how these episodes in our life, these big changes in our life, can affect us for the rest of our life. So I think I was about 7 years old when this actually happened. I was a little bit uncoordinated, probably undiagnosed ADHD, I'm pretty sure of, at the age of 7. I was clumsy. I always felt like I was not as clever as the other children. I found it really difficult to keep up with the schoolwork or understand what on earth the teachers were talking about. Mum put me into a gymnastics class, and I really, really loved it. I really enjoyed learning about this, but a competition was being held. And I'll never forget it. If you're from Victoria, you'll know Gladstone Park Shopping Centre, and they've got this stage in the middle of the shopping centre. And I was to perform this gymnastics routine with my group, and I was petrified. But I've always been a bit of a go-getter. So off I went onto stage, absolutely packing myself, and I forgot the entire routine to the point where it was mortifying. I think I literally was standing still while the whole team was working around me. And I remember from my perception, I saw the entire shopping center, which felt like it was 1,000 people. It was probably like 20. But in my perception, it was about 1,000 people staring at me with disagreement and disapproval and annoyance. And I just felt like right there and then I wasn't good enough and I needed to do better in life to receive approval. Right there and then, I told myself, do better. And that became my ongoing message to myself every time I felt threatened or that I needed some survival protection. Do better. That was my motto. Now, what I made that mean about me, and this is really important, looking at what we make things mean about us, not what they really truly mean, what we make it mean about us. I made it mean that I wasn't good enough. I wasn't as smart as everyone else, so I needed to work hard. So if I'm really looking into this, the fact of the matter, I was actually a 7-year-old girl making a decision that I need to do better in my life based on a story that I completely created, not the facts. The facts were simply that I messed up on stage. That was it. There's no other facts to that story. No emotion comes from that fact, as you may notice. But the story that I created in that moment was that I was a failure. I was not good enough. Everybody was laughing at me. I've embarrassed my family. I need to do better. I never, ever want anyone to see me in this light again. I never want anyone to think that I'm incompetent again. I will protect myself from this for the rest of my life. And the emotion that was attached to that new belief system that I created was sadness and shame, so much shame, not feeling good enough. And it was just awful. And fear, the fear that ran through me that I could possibly be in that position again. It was so strong that it changed my entire belief system for the rest of my life until I figured this technique out. I decided every single time something went wrong in my life, I wasn't good enough. Someone's going to find out that I'm a fraud, that I don't really know what I'm doing, that I have no idea how to actually be competent in this area. Even if I was really good at it, I still felt this way. Oh my gosh, I've got to hide the fact that I am dumb or I am incompetent or I am not smart enough. Do better, Sarah. Work harder than everybody. Study as much as you can. This is a huge response from a little story that I created. And it's as simple as that. It doesn't have to be some extreme scenario of trauma. It could simply be something like this. Now, most of my clients that come in when we do this work, they find that it is a lot of heart chakra closure. So they literally shut people out of their heart because they've been heartbroken at a young age. So it's better to not love in their belief system, and then you can't get hurt, which is just the most saddest thing in the world. To not allow love to come through your heart, that breaks my heart for my clients. So sometimes doing this work it just opens up your entire world. No longer is a 7-year-old making the decisions and shots for you in your life, because that's really what we're talking about. The child you literally takes charge every time survival is needed in life. A 7-year-old or a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old, however old you were when you had your scenario that changed your perception. So take a moment somewhere tonight when you get a quiet moment and look, what was your big turning point? I know sometimes it's called the act. And I did a program called Landmark, and I learned a lot of this work. Yeah, by the way, highly recommend Landmark. Absolutely brilliant. And they called it the act. And it was one of the most profound pieces of work that I've ever done when it comes to mindset work. And I love sharing it with people because I find it to be so crucial when we're working with our energetic field. Because so much of that energy as an inner child in that solar plex area, chakra, gets stored there. And when I'm working on clients during energy healing, I can feel it, see it, sense it. It's just sitting there like a big clump. So it's really important to work with the mind and the solar plex. So the third eye and the solar plex together with this kind of work. And the only way to figure it out is to do the work, to look, to see what really affected you. Now, there's another part of this. So many of my clients and the people that I know around me, they suffer with not being able to love themselves. And I find that this is really interconnected. Most of the time, it's really interconnected. Half my clients don't even like themselves, let alone love themselves. Now, the big issue and problem here with that is that if you can't love yourself, it is really difficult to call in and manifest using the law of attraction what you want in life. And it's really difficult to feel and find and give and receive love because your heart chakra is really resistive. Now, I've met so many people that give and hemorrhage love out to everybody else, but really struggle to take it in because they don't love themselves. But if people actually realized how incredible you are outside of this life, we are so powerful. We are literally a spirit having a human experience. So to understand that it's not so much the human you need to only focus on with love. It's really important to love your human, but it's so important to understand the gravity of how big you actually are and the lessons and the reasons why you're here on earth is to learn. We're in a big school. Earth is a big school. We're all here to make the mistakes that we need to learn the lessons we need to learn. And we're going to stuff up. We're going to make mistakes. We've completely forgotten how divine we actually are. So how on earth are we not going to make a mistake? And to really drill down and find out who we really are so that we can truly fall in love with ourselves again. Because when you love yourself, everybody wins. Love is the highest vibration of energetic vibrations, highest frequency you could possibly be on. So when we love others and love ourselves, it brings our vibration so high, so joyful, that nothing harmful or low vibrational could come near you because it's not matching your energy level, just like we learned in the last segment. Law of attraction will only allow what you're putting out to the universe for you to receive. So that's why we do this work. That's why it's in everybody's benefit for you to be a little selfish, to be a little loving to yourself, to put yourself first. Because even as a mother, I know that sounds like a strange concept, but if you're putting your vibrational needs first, your children can only really benefit from that. Having a low vibe around your children, it's not going to be ideal. So do this for them at the start if you need to. Or if you're not a parent, do it for your loved ones around you, your pets, your plants, whatever it is you need motivation for. But self-love is so important. That's why we do this work. Now, if you're driving, this is the time where we're going to do a little bit of a mini visualization. So it's best not to do this section of the podcast while driving because I'm going to get you to close your eyes, guys. All right, let's get going. Okay, so I'd like you to close your eyes now. Taking 3 deep breaths. Good. Now with the next breath, I'd like you to feel the air running through your nose. And now your throat. Now your chest. And lastly, your stomach. Very good. I'd now like you to scan your entire body for any areas of tension you may have been holding on to throughout the day. And with the next breath in, I'd like you to squeeze up the tension. And as you breathe out, release. Let's do this 3 times together. Very good. I'd now like you to try to visualize a beautiful pyramid. This pyramid is filled with the most beautiful, white, safe, loving, protective light. It shimmers. When you're ready, I'd like you to step inside this safe and protective pyramid. You are so safe, so secure, so loved. Now that you're in this beautiful pyramid, I'd like you to bring your attention to your solar plex. Your solar plexus is just underneath your ribs, above your belly button. Place your hands in this spot. This chakra spins. It is a vortex where energy is received and given. It is the center of where your inner child lives. And now I want you to imagine a beautiful tunnel in front of you. This tunnel is going to represent the solar plexus chakra. If you're a visual person, you may start to visualize a child. If you're not a visual person, you may just know or get a sense when that child appears. Take a moment. This child starts to appear to you at a certain age. This child is you in that moment when everything changed. This child never grew any older. It stayed protecting you, making sure you never had to go through it again. But it's time that you acknowledge this child and release this child of its burden. Let this child know it's not alone anymore. It has you. It has your higher self. You may start to feel emotions as you look at this child. Now, as you're in the space of this beautiful, innocent child, I want you to think about all the things you tell yourself, all those self-limiting beliefs and thoughts that pop up, that I'm not good enough, why would anyone listen to me, all those kinds of things. Let them come up. Think about how you treat yourself, how you speak to yourself. If you put yourself down, now look at this beautiful child. Imagine that this beautiful child is saying all of those things that you say to yourself. And this child truly believes all of it about themselves. The child is crying. The child is very sad. And what do you want to do for that child right now? Do you agree with all of those things that the child's saying about themselves? Or do you want to nurture and protect and love this child so it never ever feels this way again? Feel free to embrace this child and nurture it. Let it know that it isn't true, any of the things that it says. That you love this child and you will always be with it. And you will always protect it. You'll never ever let your words harm this child again. It's time to say goodbye to the child. Knowing that every time you speak illy of yourself, every time you put yourself last, every time you doubt yourself, it's that beautiful child that you're speaking to. So it's time to start loving the child. It's time to start loving you. I want to bring you back now, wiggling your fingers, wiggling your toes. Take a deep breath and open your eyes. Now, that is a pretty intense technique, I understand, and I applaud you for those of you that put yourself in that beautiful mini meditation. It is not easy work. But as you can see now, when we speak unloving thoughts to ourselves, it goes straight to that beautiful little child. And I know that is a hard one to hear, but this is powerful work. And I promise you, if you've done this activity, there will never be a time where you will speak illy of yourself again without thinking about what you've just done to your little inner child. So it's time to forgive yourself for anything that needs to be forgiven. It's time to start loving yourself. Let go of shame. Let go of guilt. It is not serving you anymore. And when it's hard to let go of it because you're stuck on your belief systems, you now have some tools that you can work through in your own time. I really hope that this work has helped. It has been a very condensed tutorial, I guess you could say. I mean, this is a 2-hour workshop that I work through usually, but I really wanted to give my listeners something really special. And this is some of the most powerful work that we can do. So well done. Congratulations for getting through it. And I'm really looking forward to speaking to you all about my next segment, which is based on fear. And I say that with a really pepped up voice because I've got some really good news around fear, the boogeyman, all that scary stuff. I've got some great news. So tune in to episode 4, and it should be coming out within a few days after this podcast. So enjoy, and thanks again for tuning in. Bye.